cheer, fun for all that children call their favorite time of year. Snowflakes in the air, carols everywhere, olden times and ancient rhymes of love and dreams to share. Sleigh bells in the air, beauty everywhere, Yuletide by the fireside, and joyful memories there. Christmas time is here, families drawing near. Oh, that we could always see such spirit through the year. Sleigh bells in the air, beauty everywhere, Yuletide by the fireside, and joyful memories there. Christmas time is here, families drawing near. Oh, that we could always see such spirit through the year.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Calgary Unitarians Merry Christmas Eve worship. I'm the Reverend Shelley Thompson. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm so excited to be with you here tonight to share our first Christmas together. As we begin, let us take a few moments to remember with respect that the land on which we live and worship is in Treaty 7 territory. Treaty 7 was signed September 22nd, 1877, and was entered into as a collaboration between settlers and indigenous peoples, making us all treaty people. Treaty 7 land includes the traditional home of the Blackfoot Confederacy. They are the Siksika, the Piikani, the Kainai First Nations, as well as the Dene First Nation Band, the Tsuut'ina, and the Nakota First Nation, also known as the Stoney. Alberta's Stoney Nakoda First Nation comprises 3 bands: Bears Paw, Chiniki, and Wesley. Mohkinstsis, the Blackfoot word for what is now known as the city of Calgary, is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. In offering a land acknowledgement, we honor those who have long been the stewards of this land and accept our shared responsibility for being good caretakers. As treaty people, we pledge to build relationships based in truth and reconciliation with all our relations in a good way. Welcome. Let us worship together.
Our chalice reading this evening is adapted from Unitarian Universalist minister Dan Lambert. We gather together in this virtual space on this Christmas Eve as sojourners, looking for light, for hope, for peace, and for love. We gather as people from many backgrounds, many faiths, and many spiritual paths. But as we light this chalice, we gather as one body, looking to the Nativity for its message to all humanity. Its message is that there is light, there is hope, there is peace, and there is love.
Good evening, everyone. It's great to be back in this virtual space together on Christmas Eve, celebrating our Unitarian lessons and carols. This is one of my favorite services of the whole entire year because we get to do a lot of singing, lots of carol singing together, and hear some wonderful stories. Some of them will make you laugh, some of them will make you think, some of them will make you feel very deeply. We invite you to get comfortable and enjoy the singing of these carols as we go. We're going to start with Deck the Hall. Sing with me. Deck the hall with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la. Don we now our gay apparel, fa la 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 la. Troll the ancient Yuletide carol, fa la 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 la. See the blazing Yule before us, fa la 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 la. Strike the harp and join the chorus, fa la 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 la. Follow me in merry measure, fa la 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 la. While I tell of Yuletide treasure, fa la 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 la. Fast away the old year passes, fa la 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 la. Hail the new year, lads and lasses, fa la 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 la. Sing we joyous all together, fa la 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 la. Heedless of the wind and weather, fa la 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 la. And now that we've started with that carol, we're going to proceed directly to another one before I introduce to you our dearie Sheila McMaster, who's going to read our first story of the evening. So let's sing together, O Little Town of Bethlehem. Poor little town of Bethlehem, how still we see thee lie. Above thy deep and dreamless sleep, the silent stars go by. Yet in thy dark streets shineth the everlasting light. The hopes and fears of all the years are met in thee tonight. For Christ is born of Mary and gathered all above. While mortals sleep, the angels keep their watch of wondering love. O morning stars together proclaim the holy birth. Let praises ring from God, they bring goodwill to all on earth. How silently the wonder is made known, when God imparts to human hearts the gift that is our own. No ear may hear that coming, but in this worldly din, when souls are truly humble, then the dear babe rests within.
Good evening, everyone. I'm dearie Sheila, And this evening for Christmas Eve, I have a story for all of you. It is filled with the imagery of Christmas and a journey of resilience and hope. So I'm very excited. Here we go. And it is called The Smelly Sprout by Alan Plenderleith. Here we go. All right, very traditional Christmas story. The turkey was in the oven and Dad was helping Mum prepare the vegetables. Broccoli, carrots, potatoes, and peas, yummy. But one vegetable had been overlooked, and there he lay all alone at the bottom of the vegetable basket, a little green sprout. And the sprout looked around and saw he was alone, so he decided to make himself known. Excuse me, he said in a tiny voice. I think you've forgotten about me. Oh, a sprout, yuck, said Dad. Oh, get rid of it, screamed Mum. I think it's safe to say that Mum and Dad do not like sprouts. Out, smelly sprout! And the sprout stepped out into the big wide world, and it was big and quite wide too. And the streets were very quiet, and the shops were all closed, and suddenly the little sprout felt very lonely indeed. But then he saw something wonderful. A huge tree filled with lots of colorful balls, and some were green like super shiny sprouts. And the little sprout climbed up the tree to join the other colorful balls, and suddenly the tree began to quiver and shake. "Oh," said the tree, "something green and smelly is climbing up my branches." "It's a smelly sprout," screeched one of the baubles. "Yuck, go away," yelled the tree. "I think it's safe to say that Christmas trees do not like sprouts." "Out, smelly sprout!" And the little sprout came to a pretty street where the houses were decorated with colorful lights, and in every garden there was a snowman, and on every snowman's face was a bright orange carrot, all except one. The snowman had no nose at all. In fact, he'd been used in an emergency for someone's Christmas dinner. And the sprout saw the little hole on the snowman's face and thought it looked like a lovely place to sit. So he climbed up the snowman's cold body, passing its lumpy coal smile on the way, and sat down in the little hole. "Ugh, what's that horrible smell?" said the snowman. "I think it's safe to say that snowmen do not like sprouts." "Out, smelly sprout!" And the sprout landed deep in a dark wood, and he suddenly wished he had stayed in the vegetable basket. And as he walked through the scary woods, he could feel eyes all around staring. But then the sprout saw something. It was a little mouse. He looked very cold and sad. "Hello," said the sprout. "Are you all right?" "I'm looking for food," shivered the mouse. "I need to eat before I sleep for the winter." And the sprout was about to reply when, growl. "Was that your tummy?" asked the sprout. I don't think so," said the mouse. "It was a fox. Arr, I'm hungry too," slobbered the greedy fox. And the sprout and the mouse ran as fast as their little legs could carry them, but the fox was fast too. And they ran through the icy twigs and the frosty bushes, but all the time the fox was close behind. Suddenly the ground disappeared before them and they had nowhere to go. And the fox came towards them, his slippery tongue licking his slobbery lips. Time for my Christmas dinner, drooled the fox. But just as the fox was about to chomp, the little sprout jumped inside the fox's mouth and bounced up and down on his tongue. Boing, boing, boing. Ugh, cried the fox, a smelly sprout. I hate smelly sprouts. And I think it's safe to say that foxes do not like sprouts. Oh, thank you, said the mouse. And the sprout was about to reply when, growl. Was that your tummy? Asked the sprout. Yes, it was, actually, said the mouse. Then you must have me for dinner, said the sprout. Really? Said the mouse. Of course, said the sprout. That's what sprouts are for. And back in his cozy nest, the mouse had a scrummy Christmas dinner, and afterwards the mouse felt so full, he went straight to bed. And the sprout was very happy to have found a home at last inside a nice warm tummy. The end. And this is a story that is a great reminder to eat your vegetables this holiday season, as they may need a little bit of love too. And wishing all of you a wonderful Christmas Eve filled with warmth and hope, and a very Merry Christmas to all.
Thank you for the telling of that story, Sheila. I love that. So every year at Calgary Unitarians on Christmas Eve, we have a tradition within Unitarian Lessons and Carols, which is called the Interactive 12 Days of Christmas. Now, in any other year, we'd all be piled into Panabaker Hall, and each of you would have a paddle in your hands with the 12 drummers drumming or the 8 maids milking. Well, this year, here we are online, and having been caught a little bit short on that, I realized we have a backup plan. So please enjoy last year's collaborative video of the interactive 12 Days of Christmas.
On the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me a partridge in a pear tree. On the second day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 2 turtle doves and a partridge in a pear tree. On the third day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the fourth day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the fifth day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 5 gold rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the sixth day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 6 geese a laying, 5 gold rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the seventh day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 7 swans a swimming, 6 geese a laying, 5 gold rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the 8th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 8 maids milking, 7 swans a swimming, 6 geese a laying, 5 gold rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the 9th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 9 ladies dancing, 8 maids milking, 7 swans a swimming, 6 geese a laying, 5 gold rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the 10th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 10 lords a leaping, 9 ladies dancing, 8 maids milking, 7 swans a swimming, 6 geese a laying, 5 gold rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the 11th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 11 pipers
first 5 feet 10, middling 9, babies dancing 8, babies a living 7, swans swimming 6, geese a laying 5, rollies, 4 hummingbirds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On 12 day Christmas, what a to me. 12 comes 11, there's 10, was a living 9, babies dancing 8, babies a milking 7, swans swimming 6, geese a laying 5, rollies, 4 hummingbirds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree.
King John's Christmas by A. Milne. King John was not a good man. He had his little ways. And sometimes no one spoke to him for days and days and days. And men who came across him, where walking in the town, gave him a supercilious stare, or passed with noses in the air. And bad King John stood dumbly there, blushing beneath his crown. King John was not a good man, and no good friends had he. He stayed in every afternoon, but no one came to tea. And round about December, the cards upon the shelf, which wished him lots of Christmas cheer and fortune in the coming year, were never from his near and dear, but only from himself. King John was not a good man, yet had his hopes and fears. They'd given him no presents now for years and years and years. But every year at Christmas, while minstrels stood about, collecting tribute from the young for all the songs they might have sung, he stole away upstairs and hung a hopeful stocking out. King John was not a good man. He lived his life aloof. Alone he thought a message out while climbing up the roof. He wrote it down and propped it against the chimney stack. To all and sundry, near and far, F. Christmas in particular, and signed it not Johannes R., but very humbly Jack. I want some crackers and I want some candy. I think a box of chocolates would come in handy. I wouldn't mind oranges. I do like nuts. And I should like a pocket knife that really cuts. And oh, Father Christmas, if you love me at all, bring me a big red India rubber ball. King John was not a good man. He wrote this message out and gat him to this room again, descending by the spout. And all that night he lay there, a prey to hopes and fears. I think that's him a-coming now. Anxiety bedewed his brow. He'll bring one present anyhow, the first I've had in years. Forget the crackers and forget the candy. I'm sure a box of chocolates would never come in handy. I don't like oranges. I don't want nuts. And I have got a pocket knife that almost cuts. But oh, Father Christmas, if you love me at all, bring me a big red India rubber ball. King John was not a good man. Next morning, when the sun rose up to tell a waiting world that Christmas has begun, and people seized their stockings and opened them with glee, and crackers, toys, and games appeared, and lips with sticky sweets were smeared, King John said grimly, as I feared, nothing again for me. I did want crackers and I did want candy. I know a box of chocolates would come in handy. I do love oranges. I did want nuts. I haven't got a pocket knife, not one that cuts. And oh, if Father Christmas had loved me at all, he would have brought a big red India rubber ball. King John stood by the window and frowned to see below the happy bands of boys and girls all playing in the snow. A while he stood there watching and envying them all, when through the window big and red there hurtled by his royal head and bounced and fell upon the bed an India rubber ball. And, oh, Father Christmas, my blessings on you fall for bringing him a big red India rubber ball.
So from King John, who was not a good man, let's go to a king who was a good man, good King Wenceslas. Now in this piece, there are parts for the king to sing and parts for his page to sing. So I would say to you, if you feel that you have a low voice, regardless of your gender, please sing the part of the king. And if you feel you have a high voice, regardless of your gender, please sing the part of the page. Here we go.
The story I will share with you now is by Unitarian Universalist minister Meg Barnhouse. All I can say is that you haven't lived until you've sung We Three Kings with 14 paranoid schizophrenics on Christmas Eve. At 7 o'clock, the Christmas Eve I was 15, my father developed an urgent need to go caroling. He loved the idea of serving humanity, but the actuality of serving humanity was a little too time-consuming, too much trouble, too little applauded for any of us to have done much of it. Christmas is a time, though, when one's thoughts turn to helping others. You watch a Christmas carol, and It's a Wonderful Life, and you feel moved to do something loving and giving. My dad had not yet done any Christmas service to humanity, And since it was Christmas Eve, the deadline was fast approaching. We hadn't even bought our Christmas tree, but Dad had an impulse to go caroling. And he wanted me and my 13-year-old sister to go with him. We wailed that it would be terminally embarrassing to go caroling with them around our neighborhood. The neighborhood, he said, was not what he had in mind. He felt called to go caroling 8 miles down the road at the Norristown Mental Hospital. Now, if you have ever known a teenage girl, you know my sister and I had sulking, sighing, and rolling our eyes to an art form. My dad, though, was an artist himself. At growling, jollying, guilting, and flashing a charismatic personality. By 7:30, we were slumped in the back of the Blue Olds. My 12-string guitar was riding in the trunk. By 7:45, we pulled up to the heavy wrought iron gates at the mental hospital. Now, my dad had called ahead and spoken to someone in the office, but that person had not told the guards at the gate. At first, they looked at us with suspicion, but my father was famous in Philadelphia at that time because he was on the 6 and 11 o'clock TV news. The guards had seen his face before. In 5 minutes, they'd been charmed into believing we weren't there to break out an insane serial killer, so they let us in and gave us directions to the building where they thought we might want to sing. The staff in that building were surprised to see us too, but they were kind. With good grace, they began directing patients to the lobby where we 3 carolers stood. The staff set up chairs while we waited. I was completely humiliated. I let my hair hang in front of my face and pretended to be invisible. My little sister copied me, and the patients started shuffling in, holding their heads in that too far back angle, which I now know means heavy doses of Thorazine. In their dishwater gray hospital gowns, it was hard to tell anyone's age. Everyone looked old, even the young ones. They shuffled to their chairs. My dad motioned to me to get out my guitar. We started singing the first Noel and Hark the Herald Angels Sing. A woman wearing bright red lipstick on her lips, her cheekbones, and a circle on her chin, slapped her legs and sang loudly to the music. Her voice sounded like something between a crow and a warning siren, and she didn't bother with words. She especially liked Joyful, Joyful, We Adore Thee. We started smiling at each other. Her enjoyment became a blaze that caught in the rest of us. One by one, each of the patients joined us in singing. It was during We Three Kings that I forgot to act cool. We were having Christmas, and the whole dark place, just for a moment, was lit with joy.
We 3 kings of Orient are, bearing gifts we traverse afar. Field and fountain, moor and mountain, following yonder star.
Christmas Story by Liz James. We rounded the corner this particular year and gazed upon the scene of baby Jesus in the manger, with a sign that said, "The Christmas Story." "The Christmas Story," read little Eric, slowly sounding out the words. Then he looked at me and said, "Tell me the Christmas story." They had a vague idea of the main points, but between public school and Unitarian Sunday school, nobody had ever told it to them in its entirety. I was tongue-tied for a moment. I was thinking of the time they saw a picture of Noah's Ark and asked me to tell that story, and what a complete disaster I made of it. Partway through, they wanted me to elaborate on the God character, who I had kind of given the impression was like a big talking rain cloud. Then I realized I'd never really explained all about God to them. They were so small. And I really wanted to do it justice. So I launched into what different people around the world believe, and then their eyes glazed over because, boy, do I know how to boring up a good story about a floating zoo and a talking rain cloud. So before launching into the Christmas story, I paused for a minute. I looked at the scene depicted in the lights, and I decided not to tell the boys the Christmas story, but to tell them our Christmas story. To do what people have done with Bible stories, with any stories, for centuries. Tell the story not as it originally may or may not have happened, but as a myth. A story that relates to the people listening in the moment. Well, a long, long time ago, there lived a woman named Mary, who was, I believe, very young, hardly more than a girl. Mary had a baby growing inside of her, which was a problem in some ways. You have to have a special kind of cuddle to get a baby inside you. And Mary was supposed to wait to do that until she was married. Now, maybe she didn't wait, or maybe the baby got in there some other way. But either way, Mary was in trouble. She was scared because everybody would be angry with her, and because she had to push that baby out, which really hurts, and because once it was out, she would have to take care of it, which isn't really easy either. To make matters worse, somebody was after Mary's baby. Somebody wanted to kill it, so she was really scared. And it was also tax time, which for some reason meant they had to travel a long way because back then they hadn't yet invented paperwork. They had traveled very far on a donkey, which is incredibly uncomfortable. And Mary was exhausted when she started feeling a great pain in her tummy. The baby was coming. At home, there would have been people to help her who had pushed out babies themselves, but they were far away where they knew nobody. Her husband, Joseph, went from hotel to hotel asking for a room, but nobody had any space for them. Finally, someone let them use a barn, which was filled with animals and pokey straw and poop. Mary had to push the baby out in the middle of the barn with no idea how to do it and feeling for all the world like she wasn't strong enough. But something amazing happened. It turned out that Mary was strong enough and her body showed her what to do. And as she sat there looking down at her baby, she was filled with the most amazing love for her little boy. And in that moment, she was no longer a scared young woman huddled in the sea of night with a powerful man trying to hunt her and her family. She was no longer far from home, because the love and hope that filled her heart made whatever place she was in become her family's home. The straw felt softer, and the animals were quiet and calm. And she and Joseph cuddled the baby, and Mary realized that love makes a family wherever you are. And we tell that story at this time of year when the days are short and it's easy to be filled with gloom while we wait for the sun to return, to remind ourselves that each of us carries light inside of us, and that nothing that is going on around you can keep you from letting that light shine. I think there's something else in that story, said Eric through narrowed eyes. I think maybe you forgot a part. Yeah, there's a star, piped up Anthony. Right, I said. Have you ever noticed how when a place is filled with good feelings, everybody wants to come over? Well, Mary created such a happy home that shepherds and angels and wise men wanted to come, and they even brought gifts so that Joseph and Mary weren't so poor anymore. They found their way using the star. And now the picture of the star shining over the stable reminds us of how, when we let our light shine, people will want to come and be a part of that. It's a nice story. It was a nice moment too, until Eric said, "Now, tell us about Hanukkah." That didn't go at all well.
Angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing o'er the plains, and the mountains in reply, echoing their joyous strains. Gloria in excelsis Deo, Gloria in excelsis Deo. Shepherds, why this jubilee? Why these songs of happy cheer? What great brightness did you see? What glad tidings did you hear? Gloria in excelsis Deo, Gloria in excelsis Deo. See him in the manger laid, whom the angels praise above. Mary, Joseph, lend your aid, while we raise our
Thank you, Jade. Let there now be an offering given to support the mission and the ministries of this congregation. We give to uplift each other, to inspire each other, to care for and support those in need, and to serve our community and our wider world. We give because we truly believe that the transformative power of peace, love, and hope makes the world a better place and brings heaven on earth. Our four others offering this month goes to the Ministerial Discretion Fund, which is used to help congregants in times of special need or to support emerging ministries and opportunities to fulfill our mission. May we give with the joyful, generous, true spirit of Christmas, service to something larger than ourselves that serves the greater good. Your gifts will now be gratefully received.
Bedtime, it's Christmas Eve, and Santa is coming to those who believe in the magic of chimneys and sleds. But now, true believer, it's time for your bed. We've just done the toothbrush and story, so under the covers, my dear, and we'll say good night. Sleep, fill your eyes, and never you worry. We'll wake you when Christmas is here.
Wenceslas looked out on the feast of Stephen.
Listen to family below. The grown-ups are watching the new falling snow, and there's Grandma dressed up in silk, while Grandpa is checking the cookies and milk. The aunties are perched by the window, watching for tiny reindeer. So for the moment, everything's calm, and never you worry. We'll wake you when Christmas is here. Waiting, watching a silent night, thinking of Christmases past. Morning waits for a child's delight, when Christmas will be here at last. Dad is here for his goodnight hug. He's tucked in your blankets, and now you'll be snug. I see eyelids heavy with dreams of stockings so full that they burst at the seams. One tiny kiss on the forehead. The people who love you are near, and we'll say good night. Sleep, fill your eyes, and never you worry. We'll wake you when Christmas is here.
And never you worry, we'll wake you when Christmas is here.
The next song we're going to sing together is one that was written for Judy Garland for the 1944 film Meet Me in St. Louis. The lyrics have been changed since then, and the lyrics you'll see in our slides tonight actually reflect the 1944 original. I love this piece, and I love it for right now where we are in the world, because I think it has everything to do with the global situation in which we find ourselves, the hopes and the dreams that we have. Let's sing this together.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. Next year all our troubles will be out of sight. will be near to us once more. Someday soon we all will be together, if the fates allow. Until then we'll have to muddle through somehow. So have yourself a merry little Christmas now. Once again, as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who were dear to us will be near to us once more. Someday soon we all will be together, if the fates allow. Until then we'll have to muddle through somehow. So have yourself a merry little Christmas now.
A Christmas Eve prayer is an extract from the book Love and Death, My Journey Through the Valley of the Shadow by the late Forrest Church, which he wrote as he was dying of esophageal cancer. On this night of nights, we have much more for which to be grateful than we will ever know. More cause to bless and cherish and bend our knee in wonder. More call to lift our hearts on wings of praise. For we too, on this very night, illuminated by a star and a story, can witness a miracle. A birth, heralding our birth, pregnant with promise and oh, so surpassingly strange. A life no less magical than ours. A death to charge our days with purpose, helping us to live in such a way that our lives too will prove to be worth dying for. To enter the realm of enchantment, we must first shed our self-protective cover. Not, as we too often and so sadly do, take this precious life for granted, but unwrap the present and receive the gift, mysterious and charged with saving grace. So let us, on this night of nights, set aside our shopping list of grievances, resist the nattering of our grubby little egos, and crack our parched lives open like a seed. Let us pray. Let us awaken from the soul-crushing allures of sophisticated resignation and cynical chic, to savor instead the world of abundance and possibility that awaits just beyond the self-imposed limits of our imagination. Let us awake to the saving grace of forgiveness, where we can, in a single breath, free ourselves and free another. Let us awake to the possibility of love, body, mind, and spirit, all saving, all redeeming love. Let us awaken to the blessing of acceptance, expressed in a simple, saving mantra. Want what we have, do what we can, be who we are. rather than let wishful thinking or regret displace the gratitude for all that is ours. Here and now, let us savor. Let us want what we have, praying for health if we are blessed with health, for friendship if we are blessed with friends, for family if we are blessed with family, for work if we are blessed with tasks that await our doing. And if our lives are dark, may we remember to want nothing more than the loving affection of those whose hearts are broken by our pain. Let us do what we can. Not dream impossible dreams or climb every mountain, but dream one possible dream and climb one splendid mountain, that our life may be blessed with attainable meaning. And let us be who we are. Embrace our God-given talent, nature and talents. Answer the call that is ours, not another's, thereby enhancing our world and the greater world we share. That is my Christmas prayer. Call it thoughtful wishing. All we have to do is put our heart in it. Unlike wishful thinking, thoughtful wishes always come true. Amen. I love you. And may God bless us all.
O come, Emmanuel, and with your captive children dwell. Give comfort
thank everybody who had a hand in creating this service this evening, both the people you've seen on screen tonight and those who were working behind the scenes to help us. And thank you all for attending and being here with us. At this time, if you have a candle or a tea light with you and some matches, I invite you to light that candle now. And if you don't have a candle with you, you can enjoy the on-screen candlelight and hold in your imagination the vision of a long white taper that someone has lit for you. I want you to envision sitting in a darkened sanctuary that slowly is becoming light as people pass the light of their candles from one to the next, row by row, until an entire room full of silent and waiting people is illuminated. Their faces are illuminated, and there you can see the joy, the kindness, the caring, and the love illuminated. Let's sing together by candlelight, Silent Night.
Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright round yon virgin mother and child. Holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace. Silent night, holy night, shepherds quake at the sight, glories stream from heaven afar, heavenly hosts sing Alleluia. Sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace. Silent night, holy night, child of God, love's pure light, radiant beams from thy holy face, with the dawn of redeeming grace. Sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace.
Our closing words this evening are from Howard Thurman's The Work of Christmas. When the song of angels is stilled, when the star in the sky is gone, when the king and the princes are home, probably watching football, I might add, when the shepherds are back with their flock, the real work of Christmas begins. To find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoner, to rebuild the nations, to bring peace among the brothers and all people, to make music in the heart. Friends, we're not going to extinguish our chalice tonight because we want to leave the light on for Santa and any other cold travelers who may pass by and are in need of our invitation to warmth and comfort. You never know when a man, his pregnant wife, and a donkey might wander by and give the world a very special gift. My dearest ones, it's been so good to spend this time together. I wish you a very Merry Christmas, filled with love and peace, and a blessed new year full of promise. Please remember our promise to one another that no matter what awaits us in 2022, you are never alone. Our community is holding you close in heart and praying for your highest good. I love you. Peace be with you. Good night.